Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. All right, so today I'm going to help you to find some scholarly journals through Butte's library. So if you go to Butte's main page and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see a link that says library. Click on that. Once you click on that, I'd guide you through, but I've actually already given you the links here. So if for some reason you're somewhere else and you can't get to your Canvas, you want to go all the way down to the Butte library where you hit library. And when you do that, it's going to give you this. Oop, give me one second. There we go. So it's going to give you Butte's actual library. And then you can click on, I'm going to show you that too. All right, where it says research databases and find articles. Okay, once you click on this, it's going to give you another link to go to, because that's what they like to do. A through Z of databases. What I want from you is to go to lowly old J and go to JSTOR. Okay, JSTOR is hands down one of my absolute favorite search engines. It includes everything. Okay, so that's my personal suggestion. You could do EBSCO, but EBSCO for some reason searches a little different. Okay, so that being the case, once you are here on JSTOR, you have some options to put in key words, right? Just keyword. It doesn't say phrases, it doesn't say sentences, it says keyword. Now that's important because what might be happening is you might type in something like, what is the, what are the statistics of homelessness in America or something along those lines. The problem with that is when it's looking for the search, it's going under keywords and it's going to try and find all the words, and it becomes chaos and your search isn't very good, and you spend hours trying to figure out why your stuff isn't coming up the way you want. So say your question is, how do I help, or how do we help reduce the homelessness in Chico? Well, I think deep down you probably know that some of the best ways to help homelessness isn't money necessarily. It is going to be something along the lines of programs that can help homelessness. So that being the case, your first keyword obviously is going to be homeless. Homeless might prop up homelessness, homeless. It gives them a little bit of room so it's not too pigeonholed. Next you can do another key term. This one, let's do programs. And you can keep adding boxes as you go down. For this, we're just going to see what happens when we search. But before we do that, as you scroll down, you're going to see, look, a couple more options for an advanced search. You know that I'm looking for articles. Absolutely. I am not looking for reviews. Reviews will not help you. You'll find as you go through and you see reviews, you're like, ugh, why are these keep popping up? So try to avoid reviews. Books aren't terrible. Books are pretty easy. The only problem is when you have a whole book, you want to narrow it down to certain chapters and stuff. So some of the books might not be the best option. Try articles, research reports, even pamphlets first. Let's try those first. When it comes to dates, I'm going to leave this blank now, but there might be some stuff that you might need more recent information within the last 10 years. I'm not sure what that means for you. It depends on the topic. Like psychology, if you're looking up information from psychology from like 1932, I'll be honest with you, that is incredibly out of date and way not appropriate for probably what you're doing, unless you're trying to prove something about the research that was done in the 1930s. Though, to be honest with you, most researchers nowadays already do that for you, so you don't have to do that much legwork. Unless you're getting your PhD and stuff like that, usually getting something that old won't necessarily pertain to you. Okay, once you've put in your homeless word, your programs word, go ahead and submit your advanced search. And a lot of things are going to pop up. You'll probably have, 2,793 search results. That's a lot. That absolutely is a lot. There'll be times where as you do this more, it's a trial and error thing. The first thing that pops up might not necessarily work for you. Ironically, homelessness in America, homelessness in California actually really narrows down a lot for your particular topic, because you even say in your question, how can you alleviate or help homelessness in Chico? Chico is in California, so that actually worked out really well for you. So say you wanted to click on that, maybe you scroll down, you're like, that's not quite what I was looking for. Oh, here we have social science research and contemporary studies of homelessness. You take a look down and go, oh, 1992. To be honest with you, 1992 is still really old for psychology research, but you can go ahead and click on it and see what it does for you. So to kind of, shoot, I knew it was going to do this. My computer's going slow, so unfortunately, getting to some of these, there we go, might take a little time. This tells me everything pretty much about it except for and including the abstract, right? So the abstract is what kind of gives you a rough idea of what you are going to be reading. So instead of reading how many pages? 32 pages and then figuring out what it's about, the abstract will actually give you that information and can help you understand whether or not this is applicable to you. So a lot of times homelessness, this even tells you what causes it, whether it's chronic problems, mental illness, alcohol or drug issues, disabilities, criminal history, so foster care. So you're going to start to see a lot about homelessness, FYI, if that's your topic, which is a great topic, and I would love to see research on solutions right now. But anyway, so that being the case, you have now a paper that's actually incredibly, based on just reading, a really good research information that I think would be incredibly valuable for a research topic on programs that may potentially help people who are homeless. So I say, heck yeah, this is great. Okay, you got it in front of you. Now what do? Do you sit and read the whole thing, or do you just say, okay, I'm going to hold this to the side and keep going and see if other things help? Let's see. You've got this here. Let's hold on to this so that we can come back to it. This gives you everything, this gives you everything, and this gives you everything. Okay, so at the right next to the actual paper itself, it's going to show you where this paper came from, which is the Annual Review of Sociology. Remember when we talked about citing MLA format, Annual Review of Sociology, notice how it's in italicized, right? That's because it's the name of the journal, okay? It's who is giving us this information, okay? And the article title itself is Social Science. This would be in quotes when you go to cite it, okay? Which is really cool that if you look, this actually gives you all of the information you need. You'll notice it gives you a volume number, but it does not give you an issue number. It just so happens this just doesn't have an issue number. If you look on here, say you get a PDF and you're like, oh, where do I find this information? On the PDFs will tell you too. Here it tells you that the Annual Review of Sociology, that's actually the name of the journal right there in italicized. What do you know, italicized? It's the date it was published is in 92. And then 18 is the volume number. That colon is showing you that after that are page numbers, 129 to 60. So it would be 129 to 160. That's the 32 pages. Anyway, so that just gives you some really good information there. Also, if you look right over here, what do you know? Gives you the same information. Here's the problem. This is in absolutely no way in the order in which I would like it to be at all. In fact, that if you copied and pasted it, which I've had students do, I will murder you. That is not what I want. This is not what I want. But I'm going to give you a little hint. And the reason why I don't want to give you this hint is I don't want you to assume that it's okay to do this on all things. But because I love JSTOR so much and they love you, they give you this little button right under here called Cite This Item. Okay. What we are working with is MLA, the very, very top one. And before you copy and paste it, it's actually incorrect for the way that I want it. And I want you to take a quick look and tell me where on here is it incorrect. And I'm going to give you a minute and pause here so you can actually take a look. Okay. All right, so some of you might be going, oh, I don't see the ISSN number. Okay, that's true, that's true. But that's okay for this particular one because it actually does not supply an ISSN number or a DOI number. Instead, what they give us is this pretty little link. So that's okay. So that is one thing that you might have noticed that on my MLA format, it's usually the DOI or the ISSN number. I still need a link to get to it, so this will be okay. I will accept the stable link. That's what it's called, a stable link. What I do not want, and I don't want to see, is this accessed information. I don't want that. Get rid of that. That means nothing to me. I do not need that. That will irritate me. I'm just telling you, maybe in other classes it's okay, but for our class, I don't like that. Okay? So all you have to do is you can just copy, highlight, copy, right? You're like, oh, shoot, I copied it. Now what do I do? What I normally suggest when you have information for something that you want to do, start a Google Doc, okay? So it just so happens that say you're in the source summary folder and you're working on your paper right now, you're going to create a new document. Okay, so say you're working on your own source summary, and you're getting a lot of stuff, but you don't know where to start. So right now you're just gathering information. You can actually use the source summary folder for this information. Just make sure that when you go to quote unquote turn it in means it's polished, it's beautiful, it's everything I want. But it can be used as a rough draft, and that's totally fine. So when the link gets there, again, I actually don't, when it comes to the source summaries in the folder, I don't grade those. You actually do a turn in online through Canvas. So you can use this this source summary document just to create it. The reason why I do this and I have these folders is say that at some point you're really not sure about a source and you just want me to double check something, I can easily access it because you're going to label it correctly with your last name and an underscore and all that stuff. Okay. So for this one, copy and paste is Control C is copy, Control V is paste. Okay. So, whoops, I think it pasted twice. Yep, sorry. Control Z gets rid of it. Okay, so here we go. We have this link, we have all this information, and it's really easy to get back to because you can just copy and paste the link and it'll get you there. But maybe you need more. Maybe you want the actual, what do you call it, PDF itself, which I highly suggest. Download the PDF. If you cannot download the PDF, and you do not have all 32 pages, don't use the source. Make sure you have all of the information you need, because otherwise you don't have anything. Does that make sense? Like if I go back and all I see is an abstract with nothing else based on the link that you gave me, that means you didn't have it either. So you're just going off the abstract. So don't do that to yourself. Make sure you have a whole complete information. In fact, it'll give you a link or at least a button like up here where it says download PDF. You can click it and it's going to download for you. Again, what's really, really, really beautiful about JSTOR is they give you all the information to cite your source. All right. Social science research studies of homelessness is, the source where it came from. The title, I'm sorry, annual sociology is the name of the See, what helps me was when it's italicized. So this is a source right up here. This is the title of it. This would be in quotes. This is the author. We have two of them. So remember, don't forget when you have two, you put both of them down and all that good stuff. So anyway, you have all this already for when you cite your source. And then you can scroll down here, right, and find your information. So when you download, you can actually download on your own computer if you like. If you want to upload it into the source summary 1 folder, you can, but you might have to create like your own folder or something that you're working with. And that's okay. Again, this is going to be your workspace. This is not something I go into unless you need my help. Okay, so that's what the source summary number 1 folder is about. Anyway, so this is how you get your information, and now you can read it if you wanted to print it. If that's something you're capable of, you're all for it. What's really nice is you also have a timestamp of when you actually got to it, which gives you, to you it's like this is the most updated information we have. So if for some reason I have questions, I guess I could get to that. But anyway. What else? Go back to, perfect. Okay, so I actually give you the links, even to the JSTOR link. That way it's really easy for you to take a look at it. For this, again, the social sciences, it was in 1992 is when this was published. I think you could, I don't know. I don't know if you could use it. You might be able to. I would take a look at it and see. Sometimes if you go a little bit more recent, people will refer to this and say what we ended up finding out was dot dot dot. So you can do the research however you want. Just make sure that you cite it correctly and you utilize the information. If you don't use this, please do not cite it in your source summary. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time with things that you're not using. Only just use the things that you're going to be using for your research. Let's go back over here. Whoops, trust me, I will fix my mistakes as I go along. Forgive that. There's a lot of writing and a lot of work to go into prepping a class. That's online. Anyway, so you can save a stable link and copy and paste it into a Word or a Google Doc. You can download the PDF, or you can do both. But one thing that I would highly suggest would be to summarize the source that you have. So say you came in here and you gave a link, you know, and you can talk about what it's discussing. A quote that I found. And then you would do your quote. Okay. With the quote, make sure you put the last name. Actually, whoops. Done. Cool. You could put the page number too. That's actually really helpful. I don't know what it is. Forgive me on this, but I'm going to put 24. Obviously, that's not right because there's 129. So 130. Okay. Don't guess on page numbers, please. This is just me giving you an example. Please make sure everything is exact. So if I go to that page number and I check your quote, I'll be like, oh, they did it right. And also, please make sure you spell things correctly. Okay, so that's pretty much it for researching. Don't forget what you can also do is if you do, remember we're going to do that hanging indention. Cheeto or Dorito to the left, the hat to the right. If it'll let me. My computer's just really struggling today. Too much work on it. It's not used to it. There we go. Just make sure that when you do a hanging indentation, it does not affect the rest of your paper. Okay. So anyway, that's just if you're going to use it. If not, you'll just have to delete it and refix your formatting. So anyway, don't forget at the very end of your sources, always, always, always put a period. Okay. So this is just kind of a really good way of researching. It does take time and practice, and it does take work. Research isn't like, oh, I'm just going to use this. It's not like when you Google search something like, you know, what time is it in Africa right now? And then it pops right up. It's not going to be that simple. The idea behind your research is to really dig deep into things that I couldn't easily Google. You know, that's why this is such a, research topic is so important. That's why I don't say, if your question was, how big does a baleen whale get? I'm like, dude, I could Google that. And I don't want a topic that you can just Google an answer to. I want something that you're going to have to research and really find the answers, because in the end, you don't know what you might end up doing, which could be, say your topic is, finding homelessness solutions in Chico, you might create a program that ends up saving lives. Like, that's the point of this. It's not just to willy-nilly, I don't know, just research because I have to. This is something that could potentially, even if you don't follow through with it, it's something that maybe later, if you had a friend who was involved in something, you could say, hey, you know what you could do, and send this their way. Like, this is actually very important information. In fact, that's what research is all about, sharing it with your peers, which is why when you're doing these and you have your peers reviewing it, I don't get involved, because I want you to be able to share it with your peers as if they're going to be using this themselves, So anyway, forgive me for clicking around. I forget I'm not in front of everyone. I usually have a video and I'm waving my hands around. and you can't see that. So, all right. So anyway, don't forget, if you do copy and paste from JSTOR only from JSTOR, where it says setting the source, make sure everything is in the exact order we've worked on. Okay, and don't get into the habit, but I will give you an okay on that, but do not include the access date. I will murder you. I don't want to know that you copied and pasted anything. I want to believe that you went through and did everything by hand, okay? So anyway, so let's see here. Once you have quite a few sources, continue working on your paper. I'll talk a little bit about outlines for you, and then we can see if you have any questions on that as well. So anyway, again, please, you know the rules. Only email me when you cannot find it within all of the links in all of the videos. Please watch them all the way through. I know I babble. Get over it. It's what I do as a teacher. Okay? All right. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I'm very excited to see what y'all come up with.